We are rolling, ladies and gentlemen. This is the MLO team. My name is Addy Net, and we got the full team on board. Casey, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, sir. Addy, as a pleasure as it always is. Thanks for having me on.
Boom, 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 boom. And of course, we have the ever so loved Christian Kemp, aka CK, aka Mortgage Guru, and more AKAs that we cannot disclose on a live stream. Welcome, Christian. Thank you.
Thank you, Addison. Pleasure to be here as always. Thanks.
So, how's everybody doing today? I know, we've been at it, guys, and everyone's getting pushed. Like, how are y'all handling? Like, we're gonna dive into like pre-approvals and versus pre-qual and pre-underwritten, but let's get us a little personal round. I'll start with Casey. Like, what's life at the Carpenter house right now with COVID, and what you guys up to?
Life at the Carpenter house is pretty exciting, with wife doing, basically the mom and teacher. I mean, this life of watching this evolve is very interesting. It's obviously very demanding. I tip the hat to the teachers out there. That is a challenging job, as we are now learning as parents. But watching my wife kind of handle this has been very eye-opening for me, because it's a lot involved when you're here stuck in the walls.
God bless the mothers out there.
That's
God
right.
bless them. How about you, Christian? What's cracking over for you and the Kempers household?
Yeah, you know me, I never like to stay in one spot, so this has been a pretty difficult time in my household, but we're handling it as best as possible, and making hay when there's hay to be made, So just getting a lot of projects done and talking to a lot of people, staying in touch with friends and family, and just being a support group for everybody out there. So I appreciate all of our essential workers out there, and shout out to them. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, well said. Thanks for noting that. And I know, CK, you're huge on just like promoting local businesses in our community, and I see that all the time on your threads. And I know I got our friend Will Murphy was throwing out some kombucha thing for all the frontline workers, and I thought that was really cool. So we'll have to like integrate something for the frontline workers in the coming episodes. I think that would be really cool. So maybe we put that on the old back burner, but
stay tuned. We got some things coming. I got a couple ideas as well. So stay tuned for that, please.
Yeah, for sure. And to kind of roll into the mortgage related topics today, guys, I want to remind everyone, we're going to work to be consistent for you. And I wanted to reiterate, I got some feedback. I've kind of miscommunicated or missed an opportunity to recommunicate our mission statement at Modern Loan Officer. And it's just so important to all of us here and to myself. We want to create a group and an environment, not only for home buyers, sellers, but industry workers, where it's a safe environment to speak transparently about the process. And it's not just because like, hey, we think other people are better or worse, our competitors or whatnot. Like, there's plenty of people to help out in this world, but like, we all believe that like it's a very confusing topic. There's a lot of lingo in mortgage and home buying, selling that gets used not only differently on the agent side or the lender side. And there's just so much volatility in the market. So we really want to promote an open space for anyone, any lender at different companies, any agent that works with us or doesn't work with us. We're not about directing business. We're not about like telling you this or that. It is truly like we want to compliantly educate and share information in an environment that's safe. So hopefully I could trim that down from freaking 8 run-on sentences to 1 solid run-on. But I wanted to like just open that up, guys. Anything to add on that one right there before we get into the topics?
No, I think that's important. That's our whole stance, is being transparent, having a platform that we can educate our clients, and so that people can go back and look at some of these episodes as well if they had questions or heard something prior. So we just want to be there for our community, and service our clients, and have our friends who are lenders and also title people help with this venture that we have of educating. So
100%.
that's huge. Thank you, Addison.
Yeah,
Thanks
Casey,
for,
how's that
and
hit?
I just want to comment. Thanks for the shout out there, Alex, for the listeners during these live shows. We love when you guys chime in. We love the feedback. We love obviously the support, and we're just trying to be better for you guys every day.
Oh yeah, and I know that's a great point, Casey, because it's like, we get on our tangents. We are so passionate about like what we do and like our perspective from our careers is this is all we talk about. So sometimes we just run. I'm the worst of it. So yeah, I love the comments are huge because this is designed for the home buyer and the home seller primarily. So like guys, please at any point, if you feel like we're in a long run, don't be shy. Put it in the comment, put in the question. This is a live stream converted to podcast post close. So this is the opportunity to be a part of the show and get some of your answer or your questions answered. So Alex, yeah, thanks so much, man. We do appreciate the support and the comment is fantastic. So I want to dive in, guys. And I've been trying to think of another word outside of diving, overused, but maybe unpack the box for the subject of pre-qualification, pre-approval, pre-underwritten. So guys, these are three different things that are often kind of thrown into one little box. And yeah, I think we're going to start off with CK. Would you mind just kind of breaking down at least pre-qual? What's pre-qualified? Then maybe, we could move into the approved and the pre. So pre-qualified, give me like an example that you've done with what's a pre-qualification?
Yeah, I think a lot of people will call me up and want to get it pre-qualified for a home loan. And what that might entail is you telling me, hey, my credit score is this, my income is this, I have this much down payment. I can get a good concise from that information of what you would be kind of pre-qualified for. Now, going into a pre-approval, I would also want to go ahead and confirm all those items. That would be me having you do a loan application, me scrubbing the credits, me collecting all the documentation that you put on that application. So we're going to verify not only your income docs, but those assets that you put down too. So where's the down payment coming from? And then we are also going to take it one next step further. We can talk about the pre-underwriting where we're going to go ahead and verify that all those items as well with the underwriter. So that's kind of the difference between the pre-qualified, me just saying, yeah, that looks good, versus me actually pulling your credit, collecting all your loan or your income docs, and then also sending it to the underwriter for them to check and double check my work and giving that go ahead.
Yeah, and I think like just to summarize that, because that was well put, the pre-qualification process, at least from my point of view, and Casey, I'll get your rip on this here shortly. Like pre-qualified is like it's just taking your information for word without any supporting documentation. So if you go online, say to an internet lender or whatnot, and you fill out an online application, it could spit out like, hey, based on what you put on that application, you're pre-qualified for this. Now, is that supported by any documentation? Meaning, hey, if you say you make 60 grand a year, have you uploaded your most recent 2 pay statements? If you say you've been at this job for 2 years and you are 100% a salary based, not commission, do you have W-2s and tax returns to support that? If you've got a down payment of 20 grand or whatever, do you have the documentation to support that? So I think just to make it really clear, like pre-qual is like someone's word, like, hey, I went through it, they pulled my credit. As long as everything that you put on that application is 100% true, there's no skeletons in the closet, you got a pre-qualification, right? So Casey, moving to like that pre-approved status, like talk to me about that jump from it's their word on what they've filled out to they've actually gone the step of uploading all of their documentation. Tell me how you kind of handle that process,
Yeah, from that process, I mean, honestly, it's for the best interest of all parties involved. It really is for the buyers, the clients themselves, they're purchasing the house, or if they're refinancing and whatnot. Because you have title involved and you have agents involved, and you really want to just make sure, honestly, I mean, you're making as a consumer myself, you're making a big purchase. It's a big purchase. I want to know that I've had my financials looked at and I can truly afford this house. personally. And so that pre-approved set, part of it is really providing those details that basically prove kind of your word on what you said.
Mhm.
You know, I want to see the bank statements to show that you had the set amount money in your checkings account that you told me. I also want to see the pay stubs because I want to see that you are actually making that 60 grand, you know, and there's several ways to look at it. I mean, this is an income calculation section, you know, we could all laugh about. That's a whole nother topic for us to get involved. I mean, that's a whole segment. But you know, looking at income and calculating that and understanding a salary for a salary position versus a commission or overtime income and bonus income. What about a teacher? You know, sometimes they're paid 9 months, sometimes they're paid 12 months. So these are all things, you know, you want to look at in that during that pre-approval stage, as we would here as MLO with advising mortgage advisors as we are, would want to take that dive in there and look at all those details to make sure we're giving you accurate advice and that you feel comfortable and know that you have a solid pre-approval and can actually afford to purchase this home. So long-winded section, again, bringing it back to short answer like we laugh about, Addie. But yeah, details, documents, all that stuff you're providing to your loan officer so they can fully see your DNA financially as a home buyer and tell you, yes, you can actually afford this and this is everything. Well, and sometimes I'll take it a step further. Just sorry to cut you off. Is an email breakdown showing basically how I am pre-approving you. Here's what I had for credit scores. Here's what I had for your income. Here's what I had everything. Just you know, sometimes they can say, hey, you know, actually, you know, there's this that's missing there. Oh, great, thanks for adding that information in. Can I have this piece of document to prove that?
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. And I think, you know, to bring it back, because everyone wants to take away the differences that, like, with the pre-qual, just to wrap that around again, like, that isn't your word. Like, you don't have supporting documentation. And this is how we do it. You know, a lot of lenders have different requirements of what it takes. But initially, like, you know, you're filling out that application, they're running your credit. If everything you said on there is true, you're going to be fine. However, especially in this state with a lot of moving variables, with unstable economical conditions, moving interest rates, the volatility of just the real estate market in general, like, you want to do your due diligence. And we're going to transition into how to leverage, how to create your pre-approval and your pre-underwritten status to prove it and leverage your offer to outperform similar offers in a competitive real estate market. So just to cap on, pre-approved for most lenders is typically going to mean that all documentation is completely gathered from head to toe. So all documentation, meaning tax returns, W-2s, your statements on your assets demonstrating that you can afford the down payment and closing costs, all that good jazz, right? So the big ticket here, guys, is there are lenders out there using and abusing the pre-approval status when they really don't have it. Because as you can see on all of our name tags here, you know, we've got NMLS license. So when we write these letters for people, we're actually signing them and saying, hey, do I attest to the ability of my license that I've done my due diligence here? So there are actual letters out there that say pre-approved that aren't acting under the actual description of what we're communicating a pre-approval is. So that's why now in this market, when nobody wants to risk anything, you're getting a lot of calls from the sellers to the lenders requesting an attestment to the letter that the loan officer wrote. So any other chime-ins, Christian, that I missed there, like with that pre-qual to pre-approved?
No, I think you hit everything on the button. It's really, even where those letters that we're sending out, we're saying that we've actually verified those items. We've verified income. We've verified assets. We've verified credit. And that's what's given you a strong pre-approval letter. And that's what we're going to talk about, leveraging yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, like, moving back to our 3 buckets, a pre-qualified, pre-approved, and pre-underwritten. So yeah, pre-qual, it's your word. You filled out an app, you did the credit. Pre-approved, you've actually done the work on collecting documentation. So that's strong, and that helps your loan officer actually support you and your offer, because what I'm going to do when you put in that offer Sunday, I'm going to, proactively call, work with your agent to attest to it and be like, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith have done a fantastic job. They're keeping me updated. We have all these documents verified. This is a very, very clean file. Those are common conversations, and not all lenders are doing that. Lastly, guys, the pre-underwritten, which was really important here because not all companies will even pre-underwrite. And the reason why is it's pretty much a dry run. It's a TBD. It's a dress rehearsal without an address. Like, you're going through the motions of actually submitting all that supporting documentation to a physical underwriter, which I think Christian or Casey said prior was like, they're going to verify your work. They're going to double check, make sure everything's crossed, and they actually proceed into what we call the order out. So they're going to reach out and call your employer's HR department, confirm that you're still in good standing. Case, anything to add on the pre-underwrite? Because not a lot of, were you doing that at the big bank you were at? We can't name the name, but.
I always look at a pre-underwrite for me personally when the answer would yes, you can pre-underwrite. And I'd hope you could, honestly, at any company or any place you are, because sometimes there's a situation where it's just you might be right on the edge. A client might be right there, and it's like you need an underwriter, honestly, to review it up front before we're going to just go into this step of a purchase transaction, because we would really want to know, especially if we're pushing ratio limits or guidelines or whatever it is. It's crucial sometimes to have those pre-underwritten to know ahead of time and save everyone either trouble or give everyone great news and say we're good to go.
Christian, anything on your end? Tons of experience.
I agree with them as well. I've been doing this for, I think 17 years. And so I always pre-approve my clients. I don't want to go for the pre-qualified, because one thing is if I don't have their pay stubs, I can't see if they have a 401k payment. That could take out their ratios. I can't see if there's child support on there. That's not going to be on the credit report. These are why we request these documents up front. Yeah. But on the pre-approval side, now if I collect all those things and I feel good about it, I've verified everything, I'm not going to a pre-underwrite unless it is really close to those ratios, where I want to let that client go in there that's really tight on everything, go in there feeling strong about their purchase ability. So that's when I would pull in the pre-underwrite, when we have like a really tight on DTI, really tight on credit score, whatever it may be. But it's going to be up to that loan officer's discretion on when they're going to probably push that into that. And we'll have that conversation with that client at that point in time if we need to. But typically, once I have them in that pre-approval process, I'm still collecting those documentation. They are refreshing me with those pay stubs every 2 weeks. We're just keeping the file active. If something does pop up, then we're going to send it down to pre-underwriting just in case for maybe a product change or something in that.
Yeah, and I would say, I think in the next 60, 90, 120 days, you're going to see a lot more pre-underwrites rather than pre-approvals, mainly for me. And here's where my theory is at. We still really have no idea how lenders and investors are going to handle the furlough situation and people going back to work. As of right now, there aren't any set guidelines that are consistent anywhere for qualifying somebody that might have had a 8-week gap of employment or had furlough or this. How many more how are we going to determine stability in the occupation when the world goes back to a normal state and opens up? Nobody knows. So what I'm going to do, and at least I know we've all talked about this, but our strategy is on our purchase deals is to have people pre-underwritten so that we can get that confirmation with the underwriter that, hey, I feel like this is gainfully demonstrating stability in the employment. So I think this is a really important topic as the economy starts to open up, and we're going to see some crazy movement, not only with those shifting guidelines, but we're going to see an economy on steroids with a presidential election coming. We're going to see some really crazy stuff. We're going to see a stock market going out of control, positive. I think interest rates.
You remember 16. You remember 16, right, Addison? I mean, you saw that too.
Mhm.
Where after the election, I mean, that was a complete change in all markets, stock market, bond market, interest rate. I mean, just in those first couple of months,
Mhm.
and then obviously you have a different policy and agenda, right? We saw rate hikes come into play that we hadn't seen in a long time, and
Mhm.
had to adjust to that. So that's a very good point to bring up.
And
Yeah,
I
I
think
think that.
People
also,
forget the election all the time, the election years.
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, I think
What?
also it's going to be about, we're going to have to do a better job as being loan officers and putting the whole package together. We're going to
Mhm.
have to explain what happened. We're going to have to show why the ability to repay is good with this client, and we're going to have to put that down and create the story of what happened. And so I think that's part of our job, is to go out there and earn the business by showing the stability of that job, that person, their credit, and everything else. We're gonna have to be better,
Yeah.
100%.
Also, I'd like to add too, to anybody out there that's thinking about buying or selling a home, I would say more like buying, and you're trying to say, hey, could I do this or whatnot? Have your ducks in a row regarding your reserve amounts. Because one thing I've noticed lately is like a lot of the changes in underwriting have bottlenecked for a credit score that's under 700 and you're trying to go a lower down payment. The ultimate equalizer in getting your loan through for most is going to be demonstrating reserves. So reserves, I know we've said that in our past episodes, but it's how many months payments do you have in your savings and combined investment accounts, retirement accounts, whatnot. So like if you're able to even demonstrate, say, maybe a younger 401k of $8,000 to $10,000, and your lender uses that for qualifying reserves at a certain amount, that can make a huge difference. So that's just a quick example. Like, say you went and did a pre-qual with an internet lender, and they just shot back. You didn't put in retirement. They might kick it back and be like, sorry, we can't approve you for this. So like you doing that and working with someone that's going to take that extra time to think through, like, how can I present this to an underwriter? And to
Mm-hmm.
Christian's point, like demonstrate stability financially and occupationally is extremely important. Before we like roll on that some more in theory, I want to dive into how to leverage your approval to have a stronger offer. This is huge. I know that like Christian, you had your home on the market with or something like in the last year or so, or thought about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So from a selling standpoint, like say you get selling your house for 500K and you have two offers, what are you looking at in terms of
Yeah.
selling their house?
Well, one thing, I'm gonna look to see who the lender is.
Mm-hmm.
Does it start with, have a little rocket on there, or
Mm-hmm.
or is it a local bank, or who it is, and what the down payment is and what the product is. I think that's going to be huge. And if I'm seeing that pre-approval letter with all those things checked off, did the loan officer verify income,
Mm-hmm.
assets, and all the documentation? So, that is going to be huge. And so I'm going to take that offer, maybe even $5,000 less than maybe someone that's just shooting me something that's not very strong. It's just, yeah, they're pre-approved for this with nothing checked on the boxes. So, yeah, that'd be huge.
Yeah. And I think going to it, it's like work with your loan officer to have them call when you are
Mm-hmm.
putting in your offer. Usually, a good loan officer agent scenario will be on top of that and they'll be corresponding either through email or
Right.
call. Um, but having proactive communication and introducing yourself, having the loan officer introduce themselves to the seller is a big, big point because, man, if there's no difference between the offers, like they're going to choose the one that, hey, whoa, this lender and this financer and these agents, they like seem to work together. Everyone's on point. I'm getting proactive communication. Real estate transactions usually end up exactly the way they start when it comes to communication. So that is a nice general rule of thumb that I like to remind people, especially when I'm calling sellers, is like, look, this is our first date. Like
Mm-hmm.
you're enjoying this. Like get ready for a ride, you know?
Yeah.
You're a
Casey,
classy gentleman.
anything to add on that front? Can you give?
Honestly, though, and I think it really does help your offer be more competitive. I mean, when we're talking to listing agents, you're giving them that warm, feel good feeling,
Right.
for the buyer, saying, "Hey, we've looked at it. We've looked at all their documentation. It's a clean, a clean file, and these clients, love your house, and we got a great, 20% down payment for you, or tremendous VA loan, which is a veteran that absolutely loves everything about your house, and let's get this done."
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think it's important that they know that they have a local. So if they're buying in Oregon or Washington, we're right here. We're
Local.
local. They can come to our office. We're not behind a computer. We can be seen. We can shake their hands, and I think that's huge. With a lot of every realtor that I work with, they want to know that their client is working with a local lender. It's just, and the seller wants that too. We all kind of know that, and so as we educate our buyers, um, they understand that 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 computer generated pre-approve or pre-qual letter is not very strong until they meet someone locally, typically.
Well, and like to turn up the heat a little bit because we're being pretty casual and lax.
Yeah.
Like it really does make a freaking difference. Like
Yeah.
when you're looking at two different ones and I'm calling a selling agent and they hear this tone in my voice, it's like I have been working with the Smith family for 6 months. They are amazing. My office, actually, Susan, we did a deal together last year. Remember how great that was? This is going to be even better. I've got a full set of docs supported. This is a real pre-approval. This isn't an armchair off the cuff situation. I will do anything I can to make this exactly the experience you're wanting and lean on it. They hear that, then it really, really, really does make a difference. In a couple of examples, I've actually been able to convert sellers whom wouldn't accept VA financing by me calling, reaching out to them and being like, "Hey,
Nice job.
are you familiar with the VA loan?" And they're like, "Actually, no, I just kind of heard that, it's not a good product and it's a pain in the butt to like blah, blah, blah." And really demonstrating to them what it's like and being like, "Actually, we have a huge amount of VA appraisers in this county. It's not a problem getting the turn time. This is the only thing here. Tell the story of the family. Tell them how they've earned this right by serving us, blah, 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 blah." And you can be real too. Like, "Hey, I've noticed on your photos, you might have one or two things here. They're really easy to fix and we can get this done." So you be real, you be transparent, and you lead with education. I've gotten veterans into homes where sellers weren't even publicly selecting that as a product. So like there's a lot. And then that just backs even harder where you're like, "This is fully pre-approved," or I have pre-underwritten this file. What other offers do you have?" "Well, I have one from an internet lender. That is it a pre-call or pre-approval?" "Well, I can't tell." "What's the date on it?" "It's from January 1st. "Oh my gosh, it's almost June, Susie. It's almost June."
We
Like,
need to update those pay stubs.
yeah, like you're considering something that has so much dust on it, it hasn't even made it through the pandemic. Are you kidding me? Like, so there's things that we can do and add in, like as loan officers, our personality. It's part of our job. So I think just transition to like, how does that answers our question here below? How does the approval impact the seller? It's really a risk-based assessment.
Yeah, greatly it affects it. Our job is to help that client get that house. And when we vote that confidence in the seller, that just makes it that much stronger. And that is our job.
100%. 100%. Well, guys, we're hitting up on our minute here, but just to kind of bring the plane down, I think going through those differences is just like the pre-qualified, pre-approved, pre-underwritten. And if you're working with a lender that's just can't even tell you what the difference is or giving you some shake and bake answer, like it's not worth it. Like work with someone that cares, that's going to earn the business. Like I would much rather work with someone that maybe, might schedule some time with me tomorrow. They might be busy closing loans today, but they're going to give me an hour of my time later and they're going to work spreadsheet estimates for you. They're going to educate you and tell you the why. And those are the kind of pillars we collectively as a team here all stand on very, very, very strongly. So know the differences between pre-qualified, pre-approved, and pre-underwritten. Leverage your loan officer to make your offer stronger in a very competitive market, at least where we are here in the Pacific Northwest. Every little thing helps. And then in conclusion, sellers, like if you're selling a house, look at your letter. Like the number to the loan officers on there for a reason. Reach out to them and confirm and throw them a few curveballs. Yeah, who is this? Like that's like one of the biggest things. If like you call a loan officer and you're like, hey, I'm looking at an offer for 657 Southeast 20th, and the loan officer doesn't know who you're talking about, they're not very in tune with the file, right? They should know that they wrote an offer for that address. So that's a little trick there for sellers to put in their back pocket when they're going and confirming the legitimacy of these approvals. So yeah, anything I missed on your end, guys? Christian, any
I think you hit a lot of things. Only thing I would say, if you're out there with a pre-approval letter and have not sent in your income docs or your taxes and your assets to prove your down payment, please make sure you do so there's no surprises. And if you want a quality loan officer, please reach out to the MLO team. We love to help you out and answer any of your questions.
Yeah, one note too. We've got, when's the extended tax date? Is that June or July now?
I think it's July.
We'll have to double confirm that. But note, if you have something in contract that's closing at or after the 2019 filing date, you're likely going to have to file, depending on the loan program. You're probably going to have to demonstrate your 19 taxes. So if you're like me and you're sandbagging doing them, man, I got to get it done.
As we all are.
Yeah.
3 out of 3 over here.
Yeah, we're all just like, so get those done, work with your CPA and dial those in. And especially, finally, I'm trying to get, if you're self-employed, start that communication, man. Start with your CPA, your loan officer, start working together, because we'll do another one on that, Casey, right? Like self-employed,
veterans, for my vets out there, don't forget your DD 214, your service connected award letter if you have one, or your claim from that's a big one for pre-approvals. But we will dive into that stuff, for those self-employed and vets for stuff like that.
And I'm really excited. Christian and I have been listening to Casey's kind of notes, and he's digging in on so much research. And we've got a lot of great episodes coming up specifically for veterans on top of the normal content. And we really want to just kind of diversify the knowledge base. And once again, going back to the modern loan officer's entire mission, guys, is to create an environment of education that is transparent for home buyers, home sellers, and industry workers. So once again, guys, thanks for taking the time. Thank you, listeners. Man, the feedback and the explosiveness, particularly on the podcast downloads, Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple Podcast, it's been incredible. We're doubling our numbers almost every week. So if you haven't gotten on there, subscribe and give us some feedback on the review section. It all helps us as we swim closer to our goal of educating everyone in a transparent space. So thanks again, guys, and I hope everyone has a good rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.